Hello, everyone. My name is Jacob Rockwall. I'm a librarian at the Buffalo Central Library, and I'm pleased to present this workshop to you today titled Fundamentals for a Successful Job Interview. In this presentation, you'll learn many elements of what to expect in a job interview. We'll also present potential questions to help you prepare. And basically, the whole goal of this presentation is to make you more comfortable preparing for the next phase in your job search, which hopefully will help you land the job you're seeking out. So we'll start with the question of what is a job interview? Well, at this point, you have likely applied for the job and you've sent in your qualifications and they have screened your application and have seen something in your either resume or your job application that seemingly they think might fit in their company. So they want to take it to the next phase. And that requires sitting down with you and meeting you and discussing your qualifications face to face. So they wanted to discuss your qualities and see how it might match their organization. So this is an opportunity for you to demonstrate to them that you do have the abilities to be a good asset to their organization. So it's basically up to you to demonstrate that you are an asset or a potential asset. You want to be prepared to talk up your skills and abilities and also show them how your skills and abilities can help their organization. So what to expect? Interviews are typically formal affairs, so they will be dressed up nicely and you should be dressed up nicely as well. They typically happen in an organization that you're applying for. Given the current situation right now, they could be virtual, but they are happening in person as well. They could be one-on-one in nature, or it could be several people interviewing you by committee. So be prepared to talk about yourself and your job history, and also be prepared that you could be seated in front of one person or many people. So preparing for the interview, think about the successes that you've had at your previous positions and find ways to apply them to how you can help the new organization. So be prepared to talk about your past job experience and try to relate them to what you could expect of the new organization. Some common questions that are asked at many interviews, they'll want you to tell them something about yourself. They'll ask you why you're interested in a role with their company. Sometimes they ask you if you like working alone or in a team environment. And do you find it difficult to adapt to these situations, or to new situations rather? So think about yourself and some of these questions here and how you might answer them if you're asked these questions. Another thing you can do to prepare for the interview is doing some research about the organization you're applying to. No one will expect you to be an expert in the company, but it's helpful to know something about the company. So if you're asked a question, which might be like, why do you want to work at this company? It's helpful to know what the company does, how big the company is, how many people might work there, what they do in their company, do they have a specialty, and what might interest you in particular about working there. If you don't know this information, the library can help you. We have a number of databases that might lend you some information on areas in this nature. You could also do a simple Google search as well, and sometimes information might pop up, but you want to be prepared to talk about the company and know something about them before you show up for the interview. Another thing you can do to prepare for the job interview is reread the job description. When you applied for a job, you most likely did it through a job description. You saw the posting someplace. We'll take a look at it again. See if there are specific things about the company that they might be looking for that you can demonstrate that you have experience in. You could also pick out key terms and what they're looking for and highlight your experience from previous jobs to show that you're prepared for this. Another thing you might want to do is ask someone, a friend or a family member, to help perform a mock interview. You can do a number of Google searches online and get a number of sample job interview questions and ask somebody to read them off to see how well prepared you might be in answering questions of that nature. So on the day of the job interview, it's common to be nervous, so try to relax, be as calm as possible. You don't want, there's only so much you can do to defend against human nature, but you want to be as calm as possible. You want to dress professionally also. Professional wear, whether it's a nice dress or a suit or a tie. Don't forget the small details either. You want to make a good first impression. Like, make sure you check your shoes. Make sure your shoes are clean. Make sure you don't have, run a lint roller over your clothes. Make sure you don't have any pet hair or little pieces of anything on you. You want to make sure you put off a good first impression to your prospective employer. It's also helpful to bring a copy of your resume as well as a list of 3 references. More than likely they have this information already, but just in case they don't, you want to be prepared. You also can look at it as a reference, because sometimes you get very nervous in an interview and you lose your place. You might forget something that was on the tip of your tongue. It's helpful to have something to look at just for glancing at it. I wouldn't sit there and study the resume the entire time, but it's helpful to have something to glance at to refresh your memory about any experience that you might have had already. Again, on the day of the interview, you want to be early. You don't want to be late for sure. I would recommend try to be 10 to 15 minutes early for the interview. And make sure when you show up to the location, you're as friendly as possible to everyone that you meet. You want to put off a good first impression, because you never know. The receptionist that interviews you might actually be somebody who's in the interview. Depending on the size of the organization, the person you greet might have influence over who gets hired. So you want to be as friendly and kind to everyone that you meet. You also want to practice good manners and body language. Chin up, square shoulders, and finally, you want to smile. Don't forget to smile. It's always important to show people that you're friendly and happy and excited about the prospect of working at this organization. The interview. When invited in for your interview, be sure to greet everyone in the room. Right now, handshaking might not be something that everyone is comfortable doing, but make sure that you at least make eye contact and greet everyone that you see in the room. As I mentioned before, remember the little things: good posture, smile, act friendly. And so once the interview gets started, your first question is likely to be, they'll want you to introduce yourself. So this is something you can plan for in advance. Think about 20 or 30-second introduction. You don't want to go on, it's not a monologue. You don't want to go on for minutes. You want to basically introduce yourself, talk about your job history, family, or anything that you think might be interesting to the prospective employer. It's a good opportunity to put off your first verbal impression to the person interviewing you. You can also lay the groundwork. You might say something in the introduction that sparks something from the interviewer that they might ask you about later. And be prepared. In the interview, you'll be asked a lot of questions. So sometimes it's difficult to talk about yourself, or you might not be comfortable answering so many questions, but expect it. It's a job interview and they likely want to talk about you. So when you're answering questions, avoid just saying yes or no to things. You want to explain why you're answering yes or no. For example, here's something here. Do you have experience with computers? Well, you could just say yes, and yes would satisfy the answer, but you want to demonstrate why yes. So yes, at my previous job, I worked with computers on a daily basis. We regularly use Microsoft Office or something to that level. You want to make sure it's not just yes or no. You want to demonstrate why yes or no. Also be prepared to ask questions. The employer is expecting you to be engaged in the interview as well. So While it's good that you'll answer every question, you also want to think about things that you're being asked and ways that you can respond with questions as well. So this helps the employer see that you're interested in the job. So example, somebody, like if they tell you about the job, you could ask them, what are some of the day-to-day responsibilities in this job? If you're concerned about working in a group, you could ask them, will I be expected to work in a group? Or will I be working independently? These are things, think about just little things that come up that you can show your interest and demonstrate that you are truly interested in the job. So here's some things that you shouldn't do in an interview. You certainly don't want to answer your cell phone. You could certainly keep your cell phone on you, that's fine, but I would turn off the ringer or silence it. Maybe even just turn it to vibrate, but don't answer texts in the middle of your interview. That is a huge no-no. Another thing is you'll be asked about your previous employers. I would not speak badly about them. It shows that it's not a good quality. Another thing is you don't want to interrupt the person who's interviewing you. That's a bad, let them finish their sentence. It's not good. It's not a good quality to interrupt somebody who's interviewing you. You also don't want to lie about your experience. You want to be truthful about what you bring, and don't answer to something or commit to something that you don't have experience in. Finally, you also don't want to eat or drink during your interview. Don't bring food. It's a bad idea to bring a hamburger or a slice of pizza in the interview. That shows that you're not very interested, and it's just a bad idea. There's a number of online resources that you can use to prepare for the interview. Indeed.com has a number of mock interview questions. You can check that out. YouTube.com has a number of videos you can check out that might help you with interview strategies. There's also a website called interviewbit.com, which you can set up a one-on-one virtual mock interview with somebody. So that might be something you want to check out. Additionally, we can help. At the library, we offer 1-hour book a librarian sessions, which you can book and set up an appointment with a librarian. These sessions can be on a topic of your choosing, such as job search, resume help, or even interview strategies. We can certainly look up things to help you with that. We have a number of books on creating resumes, job search. We've got a number of books that are just interview questions based, so it can help you with many different types of interview questions as well. Just give us a call at 716-858-8900 or go to buffalolib.org. We can set something up for you. But at the end, we wish you good luck. We hope that you have good luck in your job search. And if there's anything we can do to assist you in that, please just let us know. Thank you for joining us today, and I wish you the best. Take care.